Have you ever noticed that the way you think about money is often connected to what you saw growing up? In this episode of the Steadyworth podcast, I'm joined by real estate entrepreneur Kristyne Pinel. She and her husband Luis have built their business together, and we dive into everything from marriage, entrepreneurship, money, coaching, and all of the things in between. The episode was so rich in the pre-podcast that I actually forgot to hit the record button. So as we start, she is answering the question of what were some of the things she learned about money growing up in her household. Let's get into it.
My dad's in real estate, so I grew up thinking that you have to hustle for your money. I grew up thinking like you have to work really, really, really hard for your money. And I think that has been the biggest shift. And when we got married, thinking that I've learned recently that it's not that recently. I love to hear your opinion on that in regards to like finances.
Absolutely. So, and I'll often start with this podcast off by saying, what's your first money memory? And because like you, I had a very similar, like my dad was a painting contractor. And so I saw my dad hustling. And one thing about painting contracting, if you've ever, and I'm sure you working in real estate, you've seen painters work, like the job is not getting done when you're sitting down. You have to be putting paint on the wall for the job to be getting done. So, I mean, he comes home, he looks exhausted, paint's everywhere. And I mean, it's just a lot going on. And I grew up working with him. And so grew up thinking that, you have to work hard to make money. And one thing that I've learned about working in personal finance is that you can actually make money work for you. And that's how wealthy people actually make money. But growing up, I was just taught the one side of the work ethic, the transaction part of like, you get these jobs and you work hard and you make money. And so,
so when Luis and I got married and we started to work together, it was an interesting experience because I felt we went in two different businesses coming together. Like he had his own business in real estate and then I did. It was weird the way we were working, like the money, the way we paid each other and we would help somebody. It was different. Like we had no money psychology. Like our money relationship was like so weird. And it was recently when we said, you know what, we're working together. We're in this business together. We're going to have one bank account together, one savings together. We're going to set aside money for investments, for marketing. So we started to delegate the money, something that I wish someone told me a long time ago was that money is a tool.
Yes.
You're right. I was like, how in the world is money a tool? I did not understand it. So tool in the small aspect for us was that separating it intentionally, the purpose for the finances. But when getting married, running a business, finances definitely, I think, deserves its own conversation of like, how are we going to use this to create the life that we want?
Absolutely. And because also like when you're getting married, you're bringing in two separate backgrounds of like how people think about money, how they respond to money, how they save. And then especially when you're an adult, which I know you mentioned that you guys got married young, but you're so used to doing things just your own way anyway. And so it's like, oh, but this person has their ways of doing it. And so it's like, whose way is the right way?
Exactly.
And so it's like, who are we going to do? It's like, I was working all week for this money too. I want to be able to do what I want to do. And so I totally feel that. And it's just like, but I really like the idea of what you said of you guys joining forces together, because then one thing I see with marriage and money is that when you have the joint bank accounts, it really puts you guys on the same side. And it also helps align priorities of how we are going to spend our money and how we're going to build our life. And so, we often talk about like how somebody spends their money and what you see on their calendar, like their time and their money. It basically just kind of tells you like the story of their life. And like when I used to work at a financial firm, I could look at somebody's bank statements without meeting them understand what they do. Oh, they pull cash this day. They're paying for yoga. They're doing this. They're doing that. They go to the Chick-fil-A drive-through, all of these things. And I could build a whole profile on this person without knowing them, because it's literally their bank transactions are just what they do every day. And I was just thinking, like, once you're married, it's like you have to literally like hand over the pen and you're like retelling a story. You go from like a single author to like a joint author together.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. I mean, the same with us in real estate. When we help someone buy a house, we look at, obviously you have to get their bank statements, and then we tell them, when buying a house, there will be some sacrifices, and that means no more DoorDash,
Right.
So it's kind of similar. When you get married, you're like, hey, we're joining forces. Our goal is this. It's going to be no more going out to the club, spending
Right.
God knows how much on, So it
Yes,
comes to that.
all of it. Yeah, no, because it's like little money leaks. So with this and your dad growing up in real estate, you and Luis joining together, working in the last 5 years together, or going on since 2021. Tell me, let's just go back to the origin. So what's your first money memory growing up? Like, when's the first time you decided is like, I actually need money for something? Like, I understand that there's something I want to get and I need money for it.
So I think it's going to sound, I guess it's everyone's upbringing, right? So mine was actually in college. That's okay. When I put two and two together, when I went to college, I went to Cal State Long Beach. I had to apply for grants and loans. And I was like, wow, I actually need money. I need to get a job, because we were raised, and my parents were in survival mode. That's how I think. It's that generation of survival mode where it's like, we have to make it work. Okay, the kids are going to school. We need to make it work. We're going to go to visit grandpa. We need to make it work. Like, it's going to happen. So it was like that survivor hustle generation. I think so. So, yes. Yeah. So I think I've learned recently that it's up to me. It's no longer their fault. It's my responsibility to be financially smart. Sure. At some age we need to take responsibility. But I realized in college, I think so, where I was like, okay, wow, I need money to live a life, to buy a burrito or buy books. Like, so my first thought, and then I instantly, right, I don't have any financial savvy knowledge. I applied for a credit card, and it's crazy. Right. Yeah, it's crazy how easy it was back in the day. Not thinking about the responsibility, or making sure you pay at the end of every month, their cycle, the tactics. So nothing of that. So that was my first thought. And I was like, wow, it's so easy to get a credit card.
Yeah, it's super predatory. I mean, in college, I got a ton of credit cards and got myself into a ton of trouble with it, because I mean, it's like, you're just like, oh, you get access to free money, and you don't realize that it's like, oh, you got to be responsible with this money, or all of a sudden it's like when the Bible says the borrower is slave to the lender. Those words come, you understand those on a deeper level. Once you get into debt, you're like, oh my gosh, like, I owe these people, I get paid, all I got to think about these bills. It's like a next level.
Yeah, like you can never pay it off. So something I wish I knew was how to save, invest, how to take advantage of a credit card, how to use a credit card. Because growing up, my mom would tell me, okay, you have to build your credit. But that was beyond that, kind of like financial teaching moments. Yeah. So yeah, that has to be my moment where I was like, oh wow, money,
Right.
Which I wish they would teach that in high school.
Yes, now I hear that they are. There's I follow this one creator online called Miss Be Helpful, and she works for this company, and they're going along and getting financial education approved for high schools, that they're now required to institute a financial education curriculum at the state level. I don't know what the rubric is though for it, just because they're required to do something. I think each state, it might be a free for all. And so who's actually responsible for teaching it? And then the thing is that, I mean, a lot of teachers, unfortunately, they don't even have proper financial
I
education, or
know.
they don't know much about their finances either. Later on this week, I'm with the organization like FPA. Later on this week, I'm actually volunteering to do like financial planning with the teacher in North Carolina. Like there's places where they can sign up and do that. But it's like, who teaches the teacher? Just because
Exactly.
there was nothing, when they went to school, there was nothing teaching them. So it's like, it's almost
Yeah,
like the blind leading the blind. And so
exactly.
we probably need to get a group of people to bring it in, teach the teacher, so then we make sure that the kids are actually learning the right thing as well.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I mean, with you having a baby, what is something that I know she can't speak, but what is something that you're excited to teach them?
So much stuff, and I'm so glad you have. So with having a baby, so a couple of things is that, one, I'm setting her up a brokerage account, which is like a way that you invest in the stock market, but it's for kids, and it's called a
Oh,
UTMA, which stands for Uniform Transfer to Minors. And so I'm going to put this money in this account, and I'm going to start buying her different stocks and mutual funds.
oh,
But then I'm going to keep notes of everything I buy and the date that I buy it, so that I can go back but I'm going to write like a little paragraph to her each time I do it. So then when she's at an age where she can start understanding and we can review her account statements, I can say, hey, you have this much money in your account. These are the companies it's invested in. I bought this for you on May 17th of 2026. And this is what I was thinking when I bought it. And I bought this for you on July 8th
yeah,
of this day. This is what I was thinking. And this is what the market conditions were, so that I can start, educating her about investing and get her getting money working for her. And then, also talking about budgeting, talking about just really the whole thing about like how money actually works, and just
yeah,
going over all of the different pieces of it, just because it's, a lot of times kids only know what they know from their parents. And
exactly.
I
Yeah,
remember as a kid, I wanted to invest in I to ask my mom, and my mom, she just really wasn't interested in it. So she was like, hey, if you want to do that, I can give you a couple $100, but I'm not interested in learning. And the thing, it totally took the air out my balloon, because, I'm just a kid. So I'm like, where do I even go with this
yeah,
couple hundred that I'm going to just show up at the brokerage place and be
yeah,
like, yo, here I am. Like
yeah.
I didn't have enough nerve at the time. And, I wanted a parent to kind of rise up
Walked you,
and show
yeah,
me, but but it wasn't fully there just yet.
yeah,
So
yeah, because it
in your
wasn't her
story,
time.
yeah, it wasn't our time, but which now we're having these investment conversations,
That's
and it's
good.
great now. And so I really like that. So in your story though, you were talking about, you said that they were very reactive. Your parents were a bit reactive, or you were, or what was the word you used? You said that it was almost like survival,
Yeah,
growing up with finances. So at what point for you now as an adult did you realize it's like, okay, I'm making money. I don't have to be in a survival thing. Like, did you have a point where that kind of came full circle? Because I found that, like, I've had different things that I've had in my childhood, such like maybe around clothes or different things. Like, I grew up going to private school, so I wore um, my parents didn't have a lot of money, so I wore a uniform all the time. So then when I could get more money to buy clothes, I was like, oh, I got to take really good care of this, or I can't get rid of it, because I don't know when I'm going to get more clothes, when I could buy clothes at any time. So I'm literally taking a mental mindset from many years ago into today. Have you had any of these around survival that you're bringing from money now into your adult self from your childhood?
uh yeah, you know what? It's funny you say that, because I mean we've gone. I mean, Luis loves the movies, and we've gone to the movies, and he's like, get whatever you want. I mean, we didn't have dinner, and then it my childhood comes in, and I'm like, I can get anything, you know. So then, like the moments like that come back, or for instance, like my dad would tell me, never measure food. Make sure you feel comfortable enough to order what is it that you want, because you deserve to eat. So like things like that come back, where I'm at dinner, and I'm like, yeah, I want this. Like, should I get it? Should I, like things, the
Sure.
value that we add to things, I think show up. But for me, when it all comes back when I got married, because it's like you join forces with somebody, and now that's when it clicked for me, where I'm like, oh, this finances thing is serious. Like,
Right.
yeah, I can't, I have to be frugal. When we start off, we have to talk, hey, are we investing? Are we buying a house now? How are you financially? How are, like, when I got married, I was like, wow, like my finances, like background is coming in, and I have to face it. I have to
Right.
be, I have to own up to be like, hey, Luis, you know what? I think you should be the chief financial officer in our marriage, you
I like
know?
that. He's the CFO.
He is. And that's something where you have to be okay with that, you know, not the both of you do not have to be the one in charge of the finances. So for us, we have weekly meetings, and in
I
our
love
weekly
this.
meetings, yeah, we look over our finances and we discuss like, okay, what's going on, what expenses are coming up, any big trips, any conferences coming up, how much do we have to budget. You know, we start looking at finances, and we have to face what we see and then be excited to what's coming in. So that definitely has helped us in seeing our finances, and seeing what's coming up.
Sure. Do you feel like having these conversations just makes like the marriage go smoother or the relationship go smoother because it's like you guys are constantly on the same page financially because since you're meeting weekly?
Yeah, yeah. You know what it does? And at first it was hard for me because I'm like, oh, like I feel like I'm with my dad talking about my finances, you know? So it definitely it has helped our relationship be okay and comfortable in having conversations like this. Because I don't think in marriages, I think finances is such a tough conversation to have. I've came across people where they're like, "Oh yeah, we have our two separate accounts." I'm like, oh, "How do you do that?" You know, like, do you talk about it?
Yeah.
Who pays for what? We're married, you know. So like you said, there's no right way. It's what works for the couple, and for us as entrepreneurs, both of us, that has helped us.
Yes, no,
And
definitely. No,
yeah.
yeah, no, that's so great that you guys are on the same page. So you mentioned investing. Have you guys gone down any investing roads in your finances or like what, or do you guys have any investing goals or touch on that a little bit?
Yeah, so we bought an investment home 2 years ago, and we ended
Congratulations.
up, yeah, we ended up selling the house. It was an investment house, and our goal right now we're working towards buying our primary house, and then from there we have a real estate coach. So our real estate coach is saying, okay, when you buy your house, we're gonna buy units, so multi
Hmm.
units. So my our overall goal is to have enough properties where you create income coming in now, and you
Sure.
know, because that's the goal for it, for money to work on its own.
Absolutely. Yeah. So it's working
Yeah,
for you. So
yeah.
is when you guys buy your primary residence, are you looking to buy that as like a multi-family unit, like you're buying an apartment building where you guys would live in one unit and rent out the other ones? Or are you looking at doing like a single family home and then going back to the multi-family?
Yeah, single family home and then going back to the multi. Yeah, yeah,
Okay. And so then you
yeah.
already had one rental property, but then you decided
We
just to go ahead and
sold it,
sell it
yeah.
and
And even that experience, you know, finances was hard because,
sure.
you know, like figuring out how much we need, figuring out like how much we're gonna, anything money, you have to be so unattached to money. That's what I realized. When you put so much
Yes.
value in money, it becomes like, well, or have you experienced that where people value it so much it becomes a problem?
Absolutely. Yeah. And just because it's like, I think Omar even says it, he was like, if you hold on, if you can value, you have to like, he said, you have to devalue money in order to be able to, because once going back to what we were talking about before we started filming, it's like, you just have to look at it as a tool, and any tool that you have to be willing to use it to get what you need. And so it's like, if you are valuing money in a way that you're not willing to part with it, and it's just, it has to sit here and it's the prize. It's like, that's not the prize. Like winning in
Yeah.
life is the prize.
Yeah. And that's hard, right? To have that mindset shift.
No, it's definitely like, I mean, just because, I mean, I think that sometimes it's like, I once heard somebody say is that money is your time and energy in abstract form, but I say it's like your time and energy in physical form. So it's like, if I have $10,000 sitting in the bank, that's not $10,000. It's the time I spent servicing this thing to this client, that I was up early going to this, doing that. Like, that's what that is. That's not
Yeah.
dollars. That's my time and that's my energy. And so it's like, if I'm giving my time and energy into this investment, or sometimes maybe it's like I'm scared because I might, give away my time and energy that I spent building up, and I'm not going to get it back. But I think the thing is that when we're thinking about investment, entrepreneurship, all the stuff, is that we have to, we're making educated risk when we're
Yeah.
getting into real estate, buying stocks, whatever, investing into programs. We're making educated risk to see a return on that money.
Yeah. I
So
agree.
I feel like so many people are like, I want to have investment property. You've already had a piece that you've bought, kept for a bit, and you sold. What would be like a big takeaway that you would say is like, hey, I learned this in our experience of having a piece of rental property? Like, what was the top takeaway that you got out of that experience?
Um, Top takeaway has to be, for me, right? Because
Sure,
I'm an
yeah.
overthinker like you. I like overthink everything where I'm like, okay, we're gonna buy this. I'm like adding numbers. I'm like, okay, do we have all the numbers? So for me, the biggest takeaway is when you buy the house, there's so many things that you can't control. So you have to make sure that you have the finances in line. So when, let's say you buy multi-units, you have that extra income in case that it takes longer to renovate, permit, or in case that you don't rent out a unit. Make sure that you have your finances in line to not completely throw off your life where you're like, oh my God, how am I going to make this mortgage payment? Because I didn't rent, I
Right.
don't have a tenant in hand. So for me, because I like to kind of like not be so stressed, make sure that your
Right.
money is in line. Make sure how much money you need for renovations, how much money you need for permits, how much money you need for in case you have a vacancy longer than expected. Because there's just
Sure.
some things you can't control.
Right, because when you're doing rental property, like if it's not cash flowing, then you're the one who's cash flowing it for a little bit.
Yeah, exactly. So it's that, and making sure that when you buy it, it makes sense that you're not paying out of your pocket where the tenants are paying everything. Make sure it's that so you're not negative.
Because you're saying like sometimes like maybe like it could come to a point where like you're renting it and maybe rent isn't covering like the full
Exactly.
cost
Yeah.
of it. Yeah, so it's
Yeah.
not what I guess you got, it's called
Cash
cash flow
flow.
positive.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah. There we go. Hey, I've been getting my read on. Yes. Yeah,
Yeah, it's
but
that.
I've heard that sometimes that can be a little bit difficult in some rental property, just depending on like what the neighborhood is, what rent rates are going at the point, or just
Yeah.
because I mean, people can, especially in California rents. I mean, I feel like sometimes they can be a bit high, and people can negotiate them. Then you tag on higher interest rates. It's like who knows,
Yeah, I know.
and then you're
It's
trying to get it
crazy.
filled.
Yeah. Yeah. So for instance, like in downtown LA, we were helping someone. Um, the dad was buying a condo for a son because the son is going to the arts university in LA. So
Hmm.
he said he ended up deciding to buying a condo because the rent for a one bedroom was $2,000
Wow.
for a one bedroom. And he said, no, it just doesn't make sense for me, because the dad was going to pay the rent, for me to pay rent. It just doesn't make sense.
Right.
I'm just throwing it away. So he said, I'm going to buy an investment property. And he gave his son the responsibility of finding a roommate to help pay for the rent.
Sure.
So the
That's a
dad's
great
like, okay,
opportunity that his dad gave him.
yeah,
Yeah, I mean,
exactly.
he's getting two educations at once. He's getting to go to college, and then at the same time also getting to understand what it's like, running really a small family business. Because I mean, he's a landlord. He's getting to choose his roommate and
Yeah.
negotiate this rent with this person and make sure that they're paying. And then he's also doing property management. So I mean, what an opportunity at a young age.
Yeah, which is I think it's the most valuable thing to learn, like in real life. Like having, if you're fortunate enough to have parents that have units and they allow you to learn from them, I think it's a blessing.
I agree. So you said your dad worked in real estate. Is that what made you decide to go into real estate, or did you decide because Luis was in real estate, or what was that thing where it was like, hey, I'm deciding to make this is my track.
Yeah, so my dad started in real estate so my mom was the first one to be in real estate. She used to work for a broker, and then she told my dad, you know what? need to get into real estate. So I have been exposed to real estate.
So
I'm
yeah,
not
you
sure
got
if
the
you ever,
whole family right here. You got
yeah. So
yeah.
my brother's in real estate, my husband's in real estate, my mom is in sales. So we're all in real estate. But I think the reason why I mainly wanted to go all in was because when my sister was pregnant with her first baby, I remember so clear. I like wanted to cry when it happened. When my sister was pregnant, she told me, I'm about to give birth. And I was still at my W-2 job. And I said, oh my God, like I need to leave. So I remember I had talked to my manager and I said, look, my sister is in labor. I need to leave. And she said, you're not going anywhere. It's not like you have to stay here. There's work to be done. And I'm like, my sister's in labor. So that was for me a reason where I was like, I have my family to help me with real estate. I have my husband. I was like, I grew up, I understand it. I know a lot of it. And I said, this is the sign that I needed because that was the reason. Because I was like, there's no way I can't be there for my family. My sister's
Right.
in labor. Like, so I
So
said,
what'd you do? Did you leave? Or what
I didn't
happened?
leave.
You did not?
No, I did not. And I was so heartbroken because I'm like, how is this possible? Like, how would I like miss this with my sister to be there with her, you know? And I was like, this is a sign. I'm just going to put in. And I think I left I got off at 5. I was an hour away. And so I put in my notice. I said, I'm leaving June 1st.
So
I
how long
gave
from
them
the time you
enough
had this
time.
conversation? How long from the time you had this conversation till the time you left did you leave?
So I gave them enough time because, I'm an overthinker. My sister had her baby in December and I left June. So I let them know.
Okay,
I
so
was
you
like,
gave them 6 months.
I helped them
You
hire and everything.
are an amazing you are an amazing person. You are a saint.
I could have left that day, huh?
That level that you're awesome.
Yeah. So I said, you know what? It's not for me. And I'm going to go into real estate with my husband full time. And my boss was like, if you ever want to come back, the position will be here. And I'm like, I'm never coming back. How dare you? So in my experience in entrepreneurship, there's been a lot of tears. There's been a lot of excitement, challenges. I've cried a lot. I've never thought I would cry so much in entrepreneurship.
Well, like you said, entrepreneurship is a true self-discovery journey. I saw a post on Instagram. It was like, if you want an exercise and trust in the Lord, become an entrepreneur. It was like, you're going to have to learn on a whole other level.
Yeah, it is so true. I've learned so much about myself, about my partner, about what it is to have faith, like blind faith.
Yes.
I never knew I never knew what it was, and to believe in yourself and what you're doing is the right thing.
Yes. So tell me what's something hard or a couple hard things that you've done where it's like I might cry. I mean, it's like, was it like, because I feel like there's different levels of crying in entrepreneurship. There's like the seventh grade girl cry, like my boyfriend just broke up with me right before Valentine's Day. And then there's thug tears in entrepreneurship too, where it's like, that one hurt, but I'm just gonna let that one slide right here. So give me a couple of different examples of what's some stuff what's some hard stuff that you've had that you've endured.
Yeah,
to get your stripes in entrepreneurship.
Yeah, in entrepreneurship, you can't take things too personal, right? Like,
right.
If your family decides not to work with you, or maybe never send you a referral, or they don't like your videos on Instagram, it's like, don't take it personal, right? I think those have been my sprinkle tears, where it's like, oh, come on, like when I need you the most, just hit like.
Right. I feel that.
Yeah, and I think it's a work in progress not to take things personal with your clients, family, friends, with your spouse. But the hardest part where I've cried has been when, when I first started getting the business, I got a few clients, and then we got into the transaction, we got their offer accepted, and then it cancels. For reasons, they decided to not move forward. And it's like, when you count your chickens before they hatch.
Right.
Yeah,
Yes,
because
I've experienced.
yeah, I needed that reassurance that I was doing the right thing, that I was good enough as a realtor, and it cancels. I'm like, oh, like that hurt. Like,
Right.
what did I do wrong in this process? Like, because I mean, you can go in two ways. What did I do wrong? What am I doing wrong? Like, am I not good enough? Or is it like, or is this a lesson that it's bound to teach me something, or I'm gonna get better? So I think it's that when I was looking for the reassurance that I was good enough to take the risk of entrepreneurship.
Sure. So at what point, and I feel like that's almost like that rite of passage when you have a solid iron in the fire and you feel like this is, you're like, oh man, you're like lifting your chops. You could just taste that steak you're about to eat. Then all of a sudden it's like the rug gets snatched from between you, and it's like, and you didn't just ate the last can of tuna, and it's like, oh my gosh, what are we going to do now? And so,
Yeah.
at what point did you feel like, okay, I feel confident. I feel comfortable in what I'm doing. I know that I've made the right decision. This is the right path. Like, the confidence has grown.
Yeah. I think it has to be when, times got really hard. I think, well, every entrepreneur has a moment where it's their lowest or their toughest. For us, I think when times got really hard, and, Luis and I looked at each other and we said, you know what, like, it's going to be okay. It's all going to work out. We just have to keep pushing. And that's when I realized, like, I'm in the right space, because if things have gotten this bad, we're going through hurdles and we're looking at each other and we're saying, it's going to be okay. Like, it's just a matter of I was like, that's it. I'm married to the right man. I'm doing
That's
the right
right.
thing, like, that's when I felt like, okay, like it at the end of the day, yes, finances are important, but it mattered. Like, my partner, we were going through it together, and we've talked
Yes.
about, financially, what were our goals. We were, our minds were like where our goal was at, and we're like, we just have to keep pushing. And I'm like, I'm having like an out body experience where it's like this, where I'm looking and I'm saying, hey, this is part of the journey. You have to keep
Sure.
pushing. So that's when I realized, like, okay, yeah, like, I mean, there's no way we're getting any. What is it, like? The only way is up.
Yeah. Yeah. Only way up is through, or only way, to the other side. You guys just got to go through, which that is one of the most important financial decision I believe that anyone can make is, who they decide to spend the rest of their life with, because, just the people who you're closest to have just a direct relation to the things that you are able to or to not accomplish. And then, after
Yeah,
that initial person that you're spending your life with, and, then they, of course, you hear what they say about like, the closest five people to you, you're the sum of the closest five people to you. So making sure that you have a tight inner circle, and
yeah,
that you are able to, just kind of keep your mind right and go through it. And obviously different people have different levels of just what they want to accomplish in life. So making sure that, you're staying focused in, because it can
yeah,
be definitely challenging, especially because just, I feel like one thing about entrepreneurship is that like schools don't teach it. And so we're all taught, it's like, you go to college, you get a job, you get a good job, you get a house, you get married. And so it's like when you're going against the grain, and that you could be having something that's going on at 2 in the afternoon, and you have freedom, because you could go hang out with somebody at 2 in the afternoon, but you can't go call your best friend because they're at their job, and you can't talk to them about what you want to talk to because they can't relate to, what you're doing. Like, they don't
yeah,
understand because they get a check every 2 weeks. And it's like, if I'm not out
yeah,
here chopping wood and carrying water, it's not going to happen. And so it's a different level. So making sure you have like a
yeah.
tight circle and that proper support system is invaluable.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. And I think it's so cool to meet people that are on the same journey as you. You don't have to be in the same industry, but being able to
Yes.
have different kind of conversations may even be a pivotal moment for you, where it's like you were thinking this way about your finances, and then Gabe just shared that what has helped him 10x his investment is this. You're like, oh snaps, I can think like that. I don't, so I think it's so cool to be able to have conversations like that and learn from one another, and just being able to share things that you didn't think were important. Like, what if you shared me a tactic that has helped your marriage or your finances?
You're saying like you're saying give me one, or you're saying, well, what
Yeah,
if I
I
did?
want you to give me one.
Oh yeah, sure, absolutely. I was gonna say, I mean, well, one that you guys are already doing that has been a huge one for us is that one thing that Laura and I are constantly aligning on is just what's our overarching goal? Like, what is the thing that we want to accomplish? And this is gonna kind of lead actually into the next question I have for you. But last year, for those of you guys watching, we know each other right now we're part of a mastermind group that Omar El Takori puts on. And last year, Laura and I joined the group in April of last year. But, and as you know, it's a big investment. And so we had to think like, hey, what is our overarching goal for this year? And one of them, we were clear, okay, this is a business goal. So we were like, we want to continue to grow in the business. We want to show up online better. And so literally, as we were thinking about what vacations we were going to go on, what we were going to do as a family in our marriage, just all of the thing, it all kind of came together over our own overarching goal that we had. And so one was we were investing in the video department, which means we were committing to going to Vegas twice that year, which is a cross country flight. And I told you, we left California 4 years ago this week. We moved to Miami. We haven't been back to California in 4 years, but we went to Las Vegas twice last year. But it didn't line up with our full overarching goals. And we've been wanting to get back home to see family and friends, but we had to both be on the same page. And so I feel like, if I was sharing anything about marriage, money, it would be, having a partner who you can be on the same page with, because if you guys priorities are misaligned, it's going to challenge you on every level, especially in entrepreneurship and running the business, and just personally when you're in the kitchen and you guys don't want to touch shoulders because one person's mad at the other because you're irritated because one thing isn't going right. And so I constantly say, the biggest takeaway is like, how can you guys keep alignment and making sure you're traveling the right direction? And just like how you have said that you feel confident, that you feel really good that you married Luis. And I mean, that's one of the biggest blessings you can have. I feel the same way about Laura. Like, I'm so glad that I've married her, just because, not just in business, but in personal stuff. I mentioned that a couple of years ago, we were going through some family stuff where we had to take care of a family member. People don't naturally want to do that. People naturally want to go to Cabo. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's like, I'm not trying to do this right now. Like, let's go hit Cabo. Like, and we'll do that sounds like, whatever. And so, so making sure that you have a partner, you and your partner are aligned through the thick and the thin. I mean, it is really important. But to business investing. So when did you join Omar's program? Was it this year?
I joined November, I think, when he had his 100th episode live.
Okay, at the 100th anniversary podcast. Yes.
Yeah. I
was sad I couldn't go to that because we were just out there in October because we did like our podcast between each other. But I was like, I can't keep flying across country like this. It was just like so much. Then Laura was like 7 months pregnant because we were doing December. But so did you go to the 100 episode podcast?
I couldn't stay that day. So he did the 2-day workshop, and then the third day was going to be the podcast. I was like, I can't stay. But I've been to like the content workshop that he has. I've been to those. Are you going to the next one?
I'm not. I was just like, this year, I said, we've gone to Vegas twice last year. I was like, we need to go to California and see some family. And then we need to probably go on a deeper vacation. And then having a 5-month-old just going across just kind of isn't the same. But I do want to get back out to one of his programs. I mean, when you go there in person, it's a different level.
It's different. Yeah. Like, you get around people, the energies are different. Like, you're having conversations, you're networking with people. So it's definitely, it goes back to like what you said, when your inner circle starts to change, the conversations, even your investments start to change, because you're like, oh, wow, like I could do that.
Right. So what made you decide to double down and go into his program and make that investment? And what was that? And if you feel comfortable, what was the conversation like with Luis and getting him on board? I mean, we're talking a decent level investment, I would say.
Yeah. So we have a real estate coach. So we're familiar with what it is to pay for a coach, but we've never invested in like the marketing side. So I mean, when he gave the price, we talked about it, and I'm like, like you said, my childhood little girl came in and was like, "Ooh, what do you think?" you know? And then we're like, it's something that we need to take a risk at. It's an investment. However, my brain, something I took away was like, how fast can I see a return of investment? What's the percentage of my, like, because I want that instant where I'm like, okay, where's my return? But I reflected, I was like, wow, the return on investment is me.
Yes.
Sometimes it's not money. I was like, it's me. I'm the return of investment. So how am I showing up now? Do I see the value in him, in the content? Do I see the value in me? Am I willing to take the risk now? I'm like, oh. So that was a big reflection where I was like, it's me now. It really is.
Yes.
It really is.
I love that. I love that. No, and I feel like one of the things that blew my mind about because investing in his program was the first time that I had invested in myself on that level at that price point. And it was, and one thing that it was just like, wow, I was like, I want to be able to make this level of investment in myself every year moving forward, because it was just like the personal growth that I got. I mean, I've put money in the stock market and done things before and I've made money, but it's like, that was external. That didn't change me. You can, make $50,000, whatever. And then nothing on the inside changes. But I feel like showing up to those calls, getting coached, having to show up as a different person, and just the way you think, being, you shifting and uncovering different limiting beliefs. I was like, I'm a different Gabe right now. I'm a totally different person. Like you said, the return of investment is really like, it's me, and I get to live with this new version of me for forever. Which was like, wow.
Yeah. And something I've heard is, you get what you put into it. You get what you put into it. So if you are very, very proactive, you're doing all this stuff, you're going to get some massive return. But if you're just kind of like watching and you're like, then you may have a different experience. You're like, it wasn't for me.
Yes.
But it's like, what am I putting into it?
Absolutely. I mean, you get what you put into it. And I feel like I also had like a mind break moment because, I've also was learning that, like the power of just being in a room with other people. Like I show up every week for the calls and I don't always have a question every week, but I learn something when I'm in rooms with people who are doing impactful things every week. And I don't even know what I'm gonna learn that week. I just show up and other people are saying something. I'm like, wow, that's good. I'm taking notes. And as he's taught you how to take notes, it's like, don't write down what you heard, write down what you thought, that once you heard from what you heard it. But I'm like, I'm constantly learning and feeding myself, which then allows me to go into my business and feed others and on a different level that I didn't even know that was quite possible, just because it's like, once again, as we're speaking about entrepreneurship, no one actually, how do you even know how to do it unless you're getting coached on the proper things?
Exactly. My biggest investment, if we had to, like, money wise, my biggest investment has been coaching, for sure. Any kind of coaching. If it's like, for instance, you coaching people on how to manage money, or you coaching people how to invest, I think that has been my best decision Luis and I have ever made, because we are somehow buying time back.
Yes.
Like, I don't want to
time.
Yes. I'm like, I don't want to take 2-3 years trying to figure this out. Tell me what I can learn from you. And that way I don't have to go through it myself.
Yes. When was the first time you realized, which I love this, because I'm like, when was the first time you realized, oh, okay, I need coaching? And what was like the first coaching program that you bought into? Because I feel like there's so much stuff in an entrepreneur's mind. And I've definitely felt victim to this trap. It's like, oh, I started a business, I should be able to figure this out myself. But like you said, it's like, you can figure it out yourself. But if you want to buy back your time, you need to get into a room with a professional who knows more. So at what point, when was like the first time where you're like, hey, I'm about to buy back some time, or I'm just going to jump off the cliff and invest?
It was, when I went into real estate full time, we got a real estate coach. That was when we're like, oh, you know what? I don't have time to try and figure it out. I have no money in my savings. Help me avoid certain hiccups at a new full-time agent. So that's when we got, and since then we've always had a real estate coach. Even though I don't think you'll ever outgrow your coach. I think
Right.
outgrow coaching. You can outgrow the coach you have, but coaching, I think, is always needed. I think so.
Well, yeah, I agree 1,000%. I mean, I was listening to actually, I think it was an Omar video yesterday, and it was saying that amateurs want to pay to learn, but professionals pay to learn. And so it's like an amateur wants to like, they want to show up when they want their job to pay, whereas a professional will pay to get better so that they can show up. And, and I feel like, when you see professional athletes like doing it at the highest level, Tiger Woods, golf, he's going to have a coach, Steph Curry, LeBron James, Kobe Bryant, any professional athlete who's doing things at the highest levels, Floyd Mayweather, they all have coaches. Yeah. And so it's like, why would I think that this professional who could teach and write books and make the best YouTube channel about their sport ever be able to do it, and then I'm going to show up and not be coached? Like,
yeah,
how far am I expecting to go on my own? It makes no sense. But it's like somehow people miss that point. And I'm like, pros are getting coached all day. And so I agree with you 1,000%. Like, the best thing you can do is get in some coaching.
Yeah, even if it's like one-on-one coaching or it's a group coaching. Like if you and Laura have a group coaching, like it's worth it because you're learning from you and from other people. But there's a benefit to group or one-on-one coaching.
Well, actually, we do. So like we used to do one-on-one coaching, but from Omar's program, what I realized is that when we were doing one-on-one coaching, it's like people are learning in a vacuum, because it's like when you do a one-on, and I'm so thankful that Omar doesn't offer one-on-one coaching, because it's like I would have bought that, but then I would have only been able to learn what I could to the depth of the questions that I had. Whereas other people talk. So now Laura and I have rechanged our program to where it's group coaching, because that's what I found out is like, I keep teaching somebody one thing, but they only have questions to the thing that they have. Whereas when you have multiple people in the room who are asking different questions, now we can have like really like a collaborative conversation where people can learn other things, just not, focused in on their issue. Because if I had went to Omar with like the issues that I was having, when I joined the program, and I mean, like, it would have just been, we would have probably met like 5 times. And I'm like, I don't know that I have something else to ask. It's like, you helped me with the lighting. You told me I need to stop getting that under chin, talk in the microphone, all those things. But, but now I'm like, oh, I'm learning so much stuff. And then I get on and hear somebody else's win. And literally somebody in the group texted Laura over the weekend, and she was like, I just had a win. I just ran a challenge, just made, $30,000 doing X. And I'm like, great. I'm like, I love hearing these wins, because then they keep you fired up. Because I mean, literally Laura and I were at a coffee shop. I forget what we were doing. And she was like, what you? I'm like, I'm ready to go back home and get on this presentation right now. Like, because you just get that fired up from hearing other people's wins.
Yeah. You feed off other people's moments. Or like, okay, it's like, I want to do it now.
Yes. So you're learning, growing your career in real estate. Tell me, like, what's the dream? I know you mentioned that you want to own some properties, some like multifamily real estate, so that you have like a machine where you just have people paying your rent and you're able to build wealth that way. But like, paint me out. Let's say it's 10 years, 10 years. Things have gone exactly how you want them to go in your business. What is the dream? What are you and Luis doing? What does the day-to-day look like? Like, what is this thing that you're building? Tell me about it.
Yeah, that's Luis asked me that when we ever do our vision boards, he says, okay, close your eyes, and in a perfect world, like money's not an issue. Like, what does that look like? I'm like, oh, it's kind of like your childhood comes in. It's like, oh, I can do that. Like, you start asking, right? So I even get uncomfortable sometimes, even being able to, what I say, like daydream, about what a perfect world would be. But I think it's, waking up. I love coffee shops, waking up.
I love coffee.
Me too. I think they should be studied, because you are able to achieve so much in such a little time. Like, there's some spell in coffee shops. But in a perfect world, I think, having a healthy family, allowing you built a business where it has grown on its own. We have built a business where it's growing. We're now helping people grow their business. We're helping other entrepreneurs that want to be entrepreneurs, either in real estate, having our family healthy, living walkable distance to the beach, just living that retired life that we all strive to have at 60, 70 years old, like, when they say you can retire, but why not
I love
early?
that. Yeah, no, I love that. So it sounds like you're just living your best life now, not waiting till later in life to enjoy living your best life, but having health, wealth, and a beautiful family, and but still being able to show up and be a blessing
Yeah.
to your business and the community. It sounds like that's the goal. Did
E-
I recap that well?
You did it so perfect.
Okay.
And to just like, I think behind everything is being intentional. Like intentionally planning your finances, intentionally living the life, intentionally planning vacations. I think that you don't have to be an entrepreneur to be able to have the life that you dream of. I don't think so.
I agree.
Yeah.
I
I
agree.
don't think
I
everybody's
don't
meant to
think
be
that
an
entrepreneurs,
entrepreneur.
for, I agree. It's not for everybody. It is
No,
not. Yeah.
no. But I do think that you can live your dream life if you are intentional about it.
Absolutely. I
Yeah.
agree 1,000%. I think, entrepreneurship comes with a certain amount of risk. I believe everyone can do, I believe everyone can do anything. I believe we're all, for the most part, created equal. I mean, there are people who have deficiencies and things, but you can do anything you want to do. But I feel like there are people who don't want to do it, or they also have passions about other jobs. Like I have one friend who is, she does a little bit of side work, but she's like a PhD. She's a professor at Georgetown, and she loves the work that she does. And so, it's not, she runs her department and does what she does, but I think that it's a different build of person who wants everything to be on them all the time. And there are some people who love it, and some people who are like, that ain't me. And so, but
Yeah,
yeah,
I
I believe
agree.
that, yeah, but you can organize anyone, no matter what you're doing. I believe that there's a way for everyone to organize their finances in a way so that if they do have that moment where they can't go to see their sister give birth, or I had a similar moment one time when I was in an intense meeting with a boss, and they were like, "Hey, if you don't like it here, you know where the door is." Quote unquote, on everything. And I wanted to so badly walk out right then, but I couldn't, because I was like, my finances weren't in order. I'm like, what I'm going to do?
Yeah.
Walk out of here and be like, well, say
Yeah.
some crazy word to them and then
Yeah.
not be able to get it, then wake up and be like, yeah, and get called from the bill. Like, yeah, you still got to pay this bill. Right.
Yeah,
And so,
exactly.
but I can tell you that thought has never, and the person knew that they were out of line, and they apologized, but I'm so thankful that they did it, because it let me know, I'm like, I never want to be in that position again financially, whether I'm working for
Yeah.
somebody or whether I'm an entrepreneur. I can make sure that if that happens again, and I don't have to be cocky about it, I can be like, no problem.
Yeah, you
I'll see you later.
yeah,
Right.
you planned for yourself.
Right.
You're not planning for worst case scenario. You're just planning, like financially planning yourself up. Like I think that's what it
Right.
is. So if there's so for someone young that has no idea like where to invest their money or what to do financially, what's one thing that you would tell them to do?
I love this question. I had a young man speak to this. I always start with the same thing. What's your goals? But and then because of course we have to know
Yeah.
what their goal is. But then they're like, I just want to put some money to work. And so what this one young man, what he ended up doing, that he came over from my church. He's just like 19. I think he might be 20 actually. He put some money into a brokerage account, and I just said, hey, why don't you just buy the whole stock market, put some money into a brokerage account. Specifically, he bought the fund SCHB, which is a Schwab broad market fund. He put about $5,000 in there into a brokerage account. And he did this last summer, and he was actually just over here. It'll be a week ago Friday. And his account was, while he was doing his junior year in college, he just put in there, didn't touch it. And his account was up 16%. So
Wow.
I was excited to have that conversation. But 4,500 in a regular brokerage account and 500 into a Roth IRA, and that's what he did. So I just said, hey man, the one thing that you can do is put this money to work. I said, because it's just sitting here in an account, just collecting dust. But I mean, he and I are also having other deeper conversations, of course,
Yeah.
because he's starting off in career, and I'm like, this putting this money to work is great, but I need you to figure out what you want to become an expert in so that you
Yeah.
have a money making machine too, so that you can start
Yeah.
showing up in the work world to people. But yeah, I think, I like the stock market. I like the idea of real estate. I think the only thing that somebody can do wrong is if they decide they're like, hey, I'm going to just stick my head in the sand as an ostrich and do nothing. I saw this on someone else's Instagram like 3 weeks ago, and I've been using this term nonstop. It was like, you can outsource the doing, but you should never outsource the knowing. And so it's like, if you want to have somebody manage your money, or if you want to put some money here, that fine. But it is your responsibility as to become what we're coining at Steadyworth, a financial leader, and lead your finances the same way you would lead your business. And so the same way that you would show up in your business and be on top of it for your clients, and you want to show up in the work world and the same reputation that you're building in the world from a business perspective, you also should show up that way with your family and with your money, so that you make sure that, hey, I'm actually making sure that I'm being a good steward of these resources. They're getting reinvested in the proper way, and that I'm building a structure that's going to be able to give a lasting impact to my family.
Yeah, because it's a ripple effect, right? They call it the butterfly effect. Like once you're
Yes,
financially responsible, it starts just like
absolutely.
lingering off.
Well, yeah, it's like discipline in any other area. So it's like, imagine, like, if you start eating clean, then you're working out, then you're making your bed, then you're getting up early, then you're doing this. It's like discipline in one area can start, giving you discipline in all other areas. And so it's the same thing with your finances as well.
Yeah, I agree.
So what's a guilty, so in wrapping up, what's a guilty pleasure? Like if you're like, hey, I'm about to blow some money, or what's a guilty pleasure? Like, let's get to the good stuff. Like,
It has to be like workout clothes. Like if I'm blowing money, I'm going to
workout clothes.
Lululemon. I'm going to buy myself some
Lululemon.
set, like it's
You're
buying
going to
clothes.
Biore. You're going to all
Yeah,
the places.
exactly. I think that's a guilty pleasure. However, financially responsible that I am now, it's not that, but yeah, guilty pleasure is that, or like going out to eat, or yeah, it's that.
Favorite restaurant in Southern California?
Well, it depends, right? Favorite, let's say like sushi.
Give me a top three, because we got different genres. It could be.
Okay. So I have a thing for Asian food, but my favorite sushi restaurant in Long Beach is called Sushi Mafia. They're so good. Sushi Mafia.
I've recently heard of this.
Really? And then there's this Italian restaurant in Long Beach. They have one in LA. It's called La Antica. Have you heard of them?
Okay.
I'll have to send them to you. And awesome. Yeah, so and then everywhere we go, if I ever go visit you, I'm gonna go search restaurants to go try. I have this thing where it's like wherever I go.
If you ever come to Charlotte, I have a list. I'm gonna be like, hey, you got to get this, and I have a list of coffee shops, because actually, so being in alignment with your spouse, as Laura, we have one of those big ass calendars. Do you know what I'm talking about?
The Jesse do you like it?
We do, and we did one last year, which we don't do it to the full hilt that you're supposed to do it, but we're trying to make different things of like, what are our things that we're going to do each month. So one of our things is that we're going to try a different coffee shop every month. And so every month we try a new coffee shop. We have to at least try one new one, just because, we're creatures of habit. So if we have our favorite places, we go to our favorite places, but it forces us to try a new coffee shop every month. And then one of the things, we have a running gin rummy tournament. So each month, which we haven't been on top of it. So actually on Saturday, we went to a coffee shop and we played gin rummy at the coffee shop. Only got to play one game, but yeah. So,
that's cool. What coffee shop did you go?
On Saturday, it's called Crane Coffee in Concord, California, which is a suburb of Charlotte. Concord, North Carolina, not Concord, California. Concord, because there's a Concord, California. Yeah. But Concord, North Carolina, and it's called Crane Coffee. And actually the guy who owns it is from California. He's from like the San Jose area.
Nice.
But yeah, so but we love getting our coffee on, and
me too.
Yeah.
So what did you rate that? Can you just tell me?
The coffee shop? What did I rate it?
1 to 10.
I rated.
Is it in your top?
Yeah, it's definitely one of my favorites. Right now, I'd probably I'd give it an 8. The ambiance
Ooh.
is nice. It's in a it's kind of hard to explain, but it's like a multi-use building that, like, when you walk in there, there's like little boutiques and shops, but you go upstairs, and this building used to be a theater that had burned down, and then they turned it into all these
Oh,
shops. So when you walk in, there's like a kettle corn place on the right, a little
nice.
boutique kids coffee, a little kids boutique, like clothing store, there's a barber
Yeah.
shop, there's a burger
Well,
place, there's all
that's
these
so
little things that,
cool.
yeah, it's really great. And then you go up there and they have this coffee place, and then the when you sit down, they have a whole thing of books. So if you want to grab a book, you can read a book. They have records, like eat like records,
Yeah.
like, yeah, they have
Like,
like a little record thing, and then they have cards and stuff in there. So we just sat down and played a game of
well, that's
cards. I got
cool.
a shot, I sipped on it. I've been channeling my inner European. So I got a shot of espresso with some sparkling water. But yeah, it's a vibe. Laura got a honey latte, and actually I
You
bought
put
some beans from there too.
you put the espresso in sparkling water?
No, I just drank the espresso straight, and
Oh,
then you
okay.
drink the sparkling water after, because apparently in Europe, you drink the espresso, then you follow it up with the sparkling water, and that like cleans your teeth and keeps you from getting, yeah. So I don't know, my teeth are still yellow from coffee stains, but here we are.
I know. That's awesome.
Yes. So I was gonna say, so in leaving, what would be your in wrapping up on this episode? What would you say would be, if you were going to give a piece of advice to an entrepreneur, somebody getting started, or somebody in the game of your experience? What would you leave them with?
I have two things if I can.
Yeah, let's go. Give them both. Double barrel.
The first one is it's not about the process, it's about who you become during the process.
Mm-hmm.
And having fun with that. And, because entrepreneurship, self-discovery, but I think it's enjoying the process and getting to know who you're becoming within the process.
I love that.
Because for me, overcoming that instant gratification of like, I want it right now. So it's like, no, like, take a step back. Like, you're never going to be in this new phase of your business. You're never going to be here
Right.
again. Just enjoy, what you're overcoming. Even though it's like a daily mental reminder, you have to tell yourself, like, it's part of the process. It's part of the process. Just trust it, And
Yes.
then my overall favorite thing, I apply it to everything, is it's our first time being human. It's our first
Yes.
time
I
being a
love that.
business owner. It's the first time being a wife. Like when your
Yes.
kid grows up, it's like, hey, it was my parents' first time being parents. No one gave them a pamphlet of like what to do exactly every single time.
Yes.
So
I need that.
that,
Be gracious to yourself.
yeah, because why would you want to be so hard on yourself every single day? It's like, no, it's my first time. It's gonna be okay. Just
Yes.
enjoy the process. So that has been very, very soothing for me in a way, for understanding myself and being like, it's okay. Like, I get it. Like, it's a hard life. It can be hard. It can be easy, but it's just part of it. There's going to be good times. There's going to be hard times. I think it's that understanding that life is not like life. It's okay to experience what you're experiencing. It's going to be okay. It's
Right.
part of it. So that's what I remind myself. And, I take that really to heart. It's like the first time we're humans, because I remember myself like being mad at my mom, when I was a kid, and I'm like, oh my God, like that was my mom's first time ever being a mom. Like, how
Right.
fair, like she's learning life as I'm learning life too.
Sure. I love
So
that. I hope my daughter feels that way when I do something, and when she's old enough to know that I did something that wasn't great, and say, this is dad's first time being a dad. So I
yeah,
appreciate
like,
what a mature thought that you had.
yeah, as you're like changing diapers and, being so sleepy, you're like, hey, it is part of it, man. Like, I'm just gonna embrace it.
Yes.
This is
I love
that's
that.
just how I like to look at it things. And it's been a recent change because I've overcame I have to see physical, like if my goal was to, let's say, buy 5 units, like I thought that by me having the 5 units meant that I was successful or meant that I was valuable to the world. But it's like, no, you don't have to physically have the thing yet. It's like
Right.
it's the process of you becoming that, or having
That's right.
that. So it's a mind game that we're
I
playing
love that.
here.
I love that. No, I agree so much. I mean, there's a which I'm gonna say, I was gonna say there's a book I was reading, and the person who was writing it, she was saying, she was like, I started asking, she was like, I'd be walking on the beach and I'd see these beach homes, and I'd ask myself, who's the person that person had to become in order to buy that house? And I
Yeah.
was like, so many times I walked down, the beach in Miami or San Diego or wherever, and I'm like, I think, oh, I like that house, but I didn't really think about like what is the becoming of it. And so I really
Yeah.
like that. So this last time I was in Miami, just like a couple months ago, I was like, who do I need to become to
Yeah.
buy this place right here? And so and I really love what you're just saying. It's like, yeah, it is a total journey of becoming.
Yeah, it is a journey. Yeah, like our coach said, who do you have to overcome to achieve that? Who do you have to overcome to have what you are dreaming of? And I'm like, damn, like who do I have to overcome? Is it like the
Right.
shy girl, or is it someone that has limiting beliefs? Like it's who do you have to overcome to get what is it that you're dreaming of?
Yeah, what's a favorite book that you've read?
So when I first started my real estate journey, it's a book that is it was so helpful. It's called The Magic of Believing. Have you heard of it?
Um, I'm trying to think the match.
It's a
I don't
yellowish
know.
book, and it talks about like stories of people.
I don't know that I have, but I love a good book recommendation.
Yeah. And then I listened to The Strangest Secret. Have you heard of it?
Yeah, I think I have that one on audio. Oh,
Yeah,
I
that
haven't
one's
seen
good
this
on
one.
audio. The
I have to
Strangest,
check this out.
sorry. Yeah, The Magic of Believing, because it just teaches you like the magic behind just believing and what happens when you believe.
Yes.
It's such
Yeah,
a
no,
small thing,
and I
you
mean,
know?
yeah, no, I have you. I don't know if you ever like. No, I'm. There's this book, Think and Grow Rich. I don't know if you've ever read it, but I mean,
Yeah.
yeah, same thing. It's like it talks about like the power of auto suggestion, and just kind of like like basically like all wealth is created in our minds first. And so
Yeah.
I'm constantly just working through like, and I've been really trying to be conscientious about this. Like I have season spurts where I really focus on it, and some where I don't, but where I'm just like, as I'm going to sleep and I can feel myself getting tired, they say like that's the best time to reprogram your mind. So
Yeah.
I'm like really just focusing on the thoughts I'm thinking about when I fall asleep, because I'm like kind of conscious, but I'm unconscious. And then also when I
Yeah.
first wake up and I'm kind of going in and out of sleep and I'm fighting with this
Yeah.
with the snooze button, and I'm like,
Yeah.
just really thinking these thoughts like, okay, like today's going to be an awesome day. I'm going to meet all the people I need to meet today. Just, all of the going through my different things and just really believing it.
Yeah. There, I don't remember who said it. It might have been Brian Tracy, but he said if you knew where I was headed, you would wake up.
Yeah,
You
you'd
would
be up
wake
early
up.
too. Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
I've heard that on Instagram. It's like, why are you up so early? It's like if you're headed where I'd headed, you would be up early too.
Yeah, and I was like, wow, that's like, and I think that's the you training your brain. What are you training it with constantly? It's like it's journey. It's like a never end journey. You're like, if your head, like tomorrow's gonna be a great day. I attract positive people. Like people, things always work out for me even when it's not supposed to. You start thinking like that, and you're like, holy cow, like
Right.
money's coming to me like crazy.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I
So,
absolutely love that.
so
Yeah.
if you can give me one tip of financial advice, what would you give me?
Tell me more. So I feel like I could give you 10 tips. But tell me more of what you would want to know. So I can give
Okay,
you
so
something.
yeah. So we have our money in a high yield savings account.
Okay.
Because I've seen that regular savings account gives you like 5 cents every like year or something like
Right. It
that. Yeah,
doesn't
yeah.
give a lot.
So do you think is that a good strategy? Like when you just have saving?
Um, So what is your goal? What did you want to do with the money?
Invest it, like buy a house.
And
So that's
so
why
are
it's like
you,
I'm pushing it
yeah.
away.
And how, and when would you say that you're going to buy the house? What's the goal to buy it?
But that's a good by the end of the year.
Yeah, I'd say that the high oil savings is
Yeah.
probably the best thing for you to do, because like, so whenever I think about like investing money from a risk perspective, it's like, if you're going to have something riskier in the portfolio, you want to make sure that you have time to go through a market cycle. So it's like, so if
Oh.
so like, I wouldn't want to say, oh yeah, go put your money in this, and like do what Drake did. It'll give you a 16% return, because there will be months where it's down,
Yeah.
and you don't want your money to be down right at the point where in this time to, and you're like, oh, but here's the house, but if we got to get out, then we're going to take a loss trying to buy the house. So it's like, I think that, the goal usually in investing, especially if we're going stock market, is like the you want to have time to ride out anything you're in. Now, if you had money now, like let's say you were having like a I-401k or an IRA that you were putting money into for retirement, this will be a totally different conversation, because you are likely in your 30s, I'm guessing from the conversation that we've had. And retirement isn't till like in your sick, like we're not
Yeah.
thinking about this money for the next 30 years. So I would be like, you definitely do not want to leave this in a cash equivalent of a high yield savings. You want to make sure that this is in riskier time, because you have time to go through 10, 12
Oh, I
market cycles
see.
between now and the
Okay.
next 30 years. But if we're talking about now and next week, like,
Oh, I
or
see.
now in December, I mean, we're talking about 6 months away. I mean, you're
6
only
months,
like
yeah.
2 tweets away from having your money in the stock market and it totally tanking if something happens.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
And so that's my thought. But I mean, and so, yeah. So, I mean, if you're about to use this money for something, the best thing to do would probably be to hold it in cash, like in the equivalent of cash. Whereas when you have money that you can lock up for a little bit longer, I'd say you probably want to get into something that gives a better return.
Oh, okay. Well, that's good to know. I was like, I wonder if it's a good route. I used to have my money before we end. I used to have, so when I left my W-2 job, I had, let's say, what's it called? The 401k. And
Huh?
I took it out.
Oh,
They,
and you got penalized and taxed and all this stuff.
I took it out and I put it into, before I used it, I put in a Roth account.
Yeah.
That would have been
Beautiful.
that would have been the best to just leave it there. I ended up using it. I got taxed, but I ended up using
Yeah,
it.
I mean, but having an account set up like that, I mean, there's all types of vehicles that you could put in all types of vehicles for self-employed, depending on how you have your business structured. But I mean, there's IRAs, Roth IRAs,
Mm,
simple IRAs, for I-401ks. And so, I definitely would say anything that's going to be growing long term, it would
yeah,
make sense to put it into something where it's has a little bit more juice on it than what they're paying at the bank. Because like the bank,
yeah,
really, they just use the money, and they don't make money by giving you a lot of interest on it.
yeah. I do think entrepreneurs need that help in knowing how to use their money for sure. For sure.
Yes. Yes.
I do
So
think so.
I agree 1,000%. That's actually what we've doubled down on. So like my dad was a painting contractor, worked as a painting contractor for like 30 something years, then went to retire, didn't know how to sell his business, kept all of his tools, and was retired shortly, and then had to go back to work at like Kaiser Hospital
Oh,
in
yeah, yeah,
California.
yeah.
And then, just because he didn't have any really financial knowledge around building
Yeah.
wealth outside of his business. And so like, that's what Laura and I have now started to focus on, is like our target is entrepreneurs and helping them build wealth outside of their business. So that's actually what we teach. We teach all of the things that are pertaining towards self-employed, like how you're paying yourself, how you're paying your
Hmm.
taxes, all of the accounts that you would need, whether it's an I-401k or an IRA or a Roth IRA, depending on, this all depends on income levels, because at some income levels, it could make sense to have just a regular IRA and how you're paying yourself.
Yeah.
At other income levels, it can make sense to have an I-401k or just even a brokerage account, how are you having these types of conversations with your children? At some point when you do have them, we have a thing in there where we talk about having financial conversations with your spouse,
Yeah.
because as you know, it's a hot topic. And so,
Yeah.
so that's what we focus on
Oh,
now, is just,
nice.
equipping entrepreneurs with those tools and
Yeah.
the things that they need, just so that, because it's like, as an entrepreneur, you're focused on growing your business. And I do believe that entrepreneurs have the grit to learn personal finance, but they just are missing like the skill of personal finance. So it's like, insert Steadyworth. Here we are.
Yeah. No, yeah, yeah, I do think so. And I think the only thing is knowing what tools, or like, entrepreneurs can learn how to use
Mm-hmm.
their money, but I think the missing link is like knowing what's better, like the Roth IRA, like what depending on the goals. I think that's like the missing link, because obviously even when we go into real estate, no one teaches you that unless you hired a coach, or
Right.
unless like you devote the time to learning it.
Absolutely. And yeah, I agree. And the thing is, like, each situation is different depending on what that person is. And so it's like, you know, to give the simplest answer is like, if we were talking Roth IRA or regular IRA, I would just say, because I'm not going to gatekeep. It's like, my thought would be like, it depends on the tax bracket. So it's like, I need to look it up, but it's like, so at a certain level, you phase out of being able to contribute to a Roth IRA. So you don't understand how a Roth works. It's like, you don't get a
Yeah.
tax deduction, but it grows tax deferred. So if you can be in a Roth IRA, I mean, for the long run, it incentivizes you. I think for here, let me go married filing jointly real quick. Let me go MFJ Roth limit. So if you're married filing jointly for the 2026 Roth limit, so married for full contribution permitted for married filing jointly is at 242. It starts to phase out. So if you're making, so between the two of you guys, less than 242, you can do that. The thing is that there's also an I-401k, and this is for solopreneurs or people who have their spouse in, and I believe they have a Roth I-401k as well. And the thing is that
Oh.
this allows, because with the regular Roth, you can put in 7,500, but with the Roth I-401k, you can put in, it's just like a regular 401k. It's like up to 23,000 a year. And so,
Wow.
and you get to, and when you run the I-401k, you get to contribute to it from both sides. So you get to, just like at your job, you contributed as the employee, and then your job contributed as the
Yeah.
employer. Whereas when you have an I-401k, you are the employee and you're also the employer. So you do have to run a payroll for yourself, but you can contribute
Oh,
that way and the other way. So you can actually put more money in on both sides. And so,
wow, that's really
but
cool.
yeah, it's great. But, I think, but the deeper thing though is like, while this is important, it's like, but what is the right path for me? Because it's, I would
Exactly.
say it's one thing that I constantly talk to people about is like, you want to have money for retirement, but you don't want to lock up all of your money in retirement. So it's like, you really want to find a split between, hey, I have some money in a emergency fund, I have some money in retirement, but I also have some money in a traditional brokerage account. So if I want to access it, I'm not getting penalized when I'm pulling that money out. And so
Exactly.
that's, a big thing that you want to think about too. And coming up with a system for that, because you don't want to be like, hey, I saved a ton of money on taxes, and then 1 year be like, but now I need to go get all this money out of there, and now I'm getting
Yeah.
penalized and I'm getting hit with the tax penalty. So
Yeah.
it's like, really just, to structuring all of that. So,
That's
so yeah, that would be something that we touch on that. And like, then also it's like, how should I set up my business? Do I have an LLC? Do I get taxed as an S corp? When I buy these properties, how are they set up? Are they in a trust account? Like,
yeah.
how are they titled? Because, all of that stuff can go to probate, and California probate can be crazy, and all of those things. So,
Crazy.
just like, so there's different parts. And like, how do I have insurance? I mean, and I don't mean just like life insurance, but disability insurance, because I'm an entrepreneur. And if I trip playing a soccer game and my leg is broken, I can't go show homes, like, how does that affect my income? Like, so
Yeah.
just literally thinking about all of the pieces of the financial puzzle of
Yeah.
the puzzle of the financial picture.
Wow. I haven't thought about that. That's the importance of having money conversations.
Yeah. So, but yeah, no, I mean, because I liken wealth management, or because to chess, just like and I'm not a great chess player, and the reason why I'm not is because there's multiple. I still get confused with how the board, all the pieces on the board play.
Yeah.
But a lot of times entrepreneurs, I found, it's like we can be playing checkers and we're concerned about the next move and the next move right in front of
Yeah.
us. Checkers are just one move at a time. Whereas, Patrick McDavid, he had this book that I read like maybe 5 years ago. It's called Your Next Five Moves. And he was talking about like a grandmaster in chess is thinking 5 moves at a time. But really, it's like when we're building wealth, it's like we're kind of thinking, as entrepreneurs, we're thinking 5 different things. It's like, hey, I'm focused on making the money. I'm also focused on protecting it. I'm also focused on paying taxes. I'm also focused on protecting myself from an insurance aspect. Like if somebody trips at one of your rental properties or something like that, it's like, I want to make sure that this is also structured. So if they're suing LLC me and not regular me. So like, I'm like, I don't even know that person over there,
Yeah.
So it's just, so we're talking, so wealth is really built, besides the numbers and the tactics, it's really built through structure because, and that's why, people like the Carnegies or Donald Trump or the Kennedys, all of these names, we only know these names because they had structures that allowed their name to be passed down with money over the years. There's other people who made money in their generation who didn't really pass their names down because their money didn't pass down. And so that's really what allows somebody like Bill Gates or Jeff Bezos or whoever, that are the people, the Zuckerbergs of our time, what's going to make them so that our kids know them is really the structures that they're setting up and not just the money that they made. So the structures are going to make sure their money goes on, but we don't have to be their level to make sure that our grandkids and grandkids' kids get money. And Kristyne, thank you for being on. I've learned so much from our conversation. I cannot wait till we do part 2 of this.
Yes, no, thank you for having me. For the next time, I'll make sure to have Luis on, and that way we can get perspective or a little bit of from both of us.
And yes, and we'll also cover our what's it like to work with your spouse. We'll have our implement of what's it like to work with your spouse.
Yeah, I look forward to it. Bye. Thank you.